Hello and welcome to something else. This is Arya Trae's with me. It is Sunday night, March 23rd, and the news just broke about an hour or so ago, maybe 2 hours at this point, that world-class play-by-play guy Bill Mercer has passed away at the age of 99. And Trae, I know we were like, you know, 99 is a hell of a long age to live to. We were surprised when we found out that he was still with us when we looked that up a
Yeah,
few months ago.
yeah. World War II veteran, served in the U.S. Navy. Um, Participated in Marshall Islands, Guam, Leyte, which is the Philippines, Luzon, Okinawa. Actually, one of uh, there's not a whole lot of World War II veterans left anymore.
No, and I mean that well, understandably, it's been, 80 years
Yeah,
since the end of World War II. And
yeah.
Bill Mercer, in many ways is like, Dave Brown and Lance Russell. Like he was your trusted local news guy. Mind you, he was mostly on the radio, but Mercer was a newsman who ended up doing play-by-play for, the fake sports like the Red Sox. I'm not the Red Sox, but the White Sox out in Chicago. He also did it for the Texas Rangers and the Cowboys and, other things. Um, and then, Fritz obviously took him to do wrestling sometime before we started watching. We've been watching for about a year now. Um, we mentioned this and it's kind of blows your mind because again, it reiterates the point that he was 99 years old. He was the voice on the radio that reported the death of John F. Kennedy.
No,
Um,
that is not exactly correct. He was a reporter at the time, and he was participating in the I guess press conference with Lee Harvey Oswald after he had been detained and questioned, and he was actually the person who told Lee Harvey Oswald that he had been charged with the murder of President Kennedy.
God damn,
Yeah,
that.
that's even crazier. Like
Oh yeah,
that's an even more specific thing.
oh yeah. Um, and Mercer, you know, obviously a legendary, career. And we talked about this, and it became really obvious, especially since David died. He was the backbone that kept these shows together. You know,
Yeah,
we, we had the original notification on that one episode by David that aired like the day after, he passed away, but obviously, the show had been taped. And it was like, and you think about it, like there was nobody better to do that, even if like, even if there were other announcers, even if, you could say, well, Mark Lawrence might have been closer, or David Manning may have been closer, or whatever, Fritz. Bill Mercer was really the guy. He had the right amount of gravitas. And later on, when they did that infamous interview with Fritz that we panned on this show, we kept noting that Bill Mercer was the guy holding it together. Bill Mercer was the guy who was making us feel bad for Fritz while Fritz was doing his damnedest to try to, you know, concentrate overly on the world title. And we've had fun poking fun at Mercer because he had a way of describing things that were just unique, especially in comparison to 2025's overly produced wrestling commentary. You know, you're not going to see someone like a Bill Mercer ever doing wrestling commentary again, for better or worse.
and there are certain characters on these shows that we have our fun with, and like I feel like you can tell the difference between the ones that we actually have disdain for and the ones that it's just it's all in
Yeah,
good fun. And it's like you said, he was that trusted voice, which was used to be the thing. Like you said, you noted Lance Russell, the local news anchor being the wrestling voice, the voice of the wrestling added gravity to the wrestling and made it feel more legitimate and more important.
And I mean, we'll see if we last this long, but he does leave in like 85 or 86 because it's when
Oh,
yep, what's his name? Ken Mantell leaves to form his own territory, and he leaves to go with Ken Mantell, um,
oh,
leaving leaving our good friend Mark Lawrence as the announcer,
I'm just relieved that we will get another Booker eventually.
even if it means we lose Mercer in the meantime.
Maybe Mark Lawrence can get his personal demons under control and rise to the occasion.
Um, and it's one of those things like Bill Mercer, like obviously he's the voice of the 80s, the early
Yeah.
80s. And many people, including the two people you're listening to right now, were born after the time period we're talking about. But if you go onto social media, like you're getting a ton of people of all ages, paying tribute to Bill Mercer because by all accounts, he was a very nice man. Um, he always made time for people who, requested it. And you know, all you can say is he lived a good long life. No one is sitting here saying, oh man, if only Bill Mercer could have gotten his demons under control, he could have lived another 20 years or something. It's like it never makes it any easier when somebody passes away at an old age, but it does assuage those feelings a little bit because he did live to be that age. He did live a good long life. And, even though we're obviously going to still see him for another few years, it's going to be kind of weird because it was like one of those things we always kind of like made a comment about, like, hey, Bill Mercer's 99 and still killing it here in real life. Um, and yeah, Blue Meanie actually was one of the people who paid tribute to him as well, um, calling him one of the most one of the underrated voices of professional wrestling. Um, and
Absolutely.
so,
Hey, you know what?
yeah,
Bob Caudle still
what's that?
lives.
Indeed, you know, somewhere, in an alternate universe, we're gonna have Bob Caudle and Bill Mercer doing commentary together. And by the way, Mercer is inducted into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame in 2020 and the Texas Radio Hall of Fame in 2002, um, among
Can we
different honors that he's achieved over the years.
can we can we induct him into the something else Hall of Fame?
I was gonna say if we had a something else Hall of Fame, Bill Mercer is the first inductee. You know,
We need
hey,
something more
w-
like Brian and Vinny's Hall of Awesome. The bar is not quite as high.
hey, the something else mark of distinction
There we
goes
go.
to
There we go.
Bill Mercer.
The key word being
The
Mark.
yes, the first ever recipient of the something else mark of distinction, Mr. Bill Mercer. Um, and yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I don't think he ever made it out to too many wrestling conventions because I mean, I at least don't remember ever seeing him at any. But I mean, mind you, again, he's 99. So even when they went to Dallas for WrestleMania in 2016, he was 90. So, I'm not, shocked to hear that. Um, but yeah, so we just wanted to come on here, do this quick, little update, share our thoughts about Bill Mercer. We'd already taped the Tuesday show. So we didn't want, so like, when you listen to that, we taped that yesterday. And so we didn't want it to come across as, maybe mean-spirited, at times, because, I think I made a joke about how I was only half paying attention, so I have no idea if Bill Mercer made a wacky comment or not. I said that with love. And,
Yeah.
like I said, we've been watching Mercer now. Like I just passed a year of doing these world-class shows. And like I said, Mercer has been one of the highlights since day one.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
mhm,
99 years old. He is, as far as I know, he had a very happy and fulfilling life, and he is in death. He is being, and in life, he also got credit, but he's being people are talking about not only his achievements in the wrestling world, but outside. He was a legitimate reporter, a legitimate broadcaster, doing a lot of things, and it. May we all be so lucky, right?
Yeah. And, every picture I ever see of Bill Mercer outside of the studio, he always had a big smile on his face, you know.
Yeah.
And, you can't always, you know, you can't always, create that, out of fabrication. And so, Bill, if there is an afterlife, I hope whatever it is, you're able to enjoy it, moving forward. I wish your family nothing but the best and most positive of thoughts, here in the next few days. And Trey, before we wrap up, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I don't guess. I just, the appropriate that we take a moment to pay our respects to, like I said, not only a great wrestling announcer, but a great broadcaster, journalist, and by all indications, a lovely man.
I want to thank everyone for listening, and we will talk to you again later on.